How's it going? Hope you're having a great day. And today we're going through my second photo project, 1111. So I made a video already on dehydrated. If you haven't watched that, check it out. So I'm basically going through all my projects and doing like kind of like your classic, when the good old days where you can watch behind the scenes commentary on a movie. I thought it'd be interesting to do that with these photo projects. Um, yeah, I was gonna do like a text thing. I've done that before with uh, when I had like Patreon. But I kind of think a video series and kind of explaining certain photos is a little bit more, I think it'd be more interesting for anyone interested in these projects. There's more information. I think just kind of giving like a basic kind of description of a project, it's all right. But I think there's a little bit more life to uh, to the projects as well. It's hard to explain certain photos. Um, Not that I even really, like, feel like I need to. I think it's just cool to have, like, a behind the scenes vibe to the projects. So, 1111 was sometimes I don't really even know, so 'cause, that time keeps on going faster and faster. Yeah, this is another 2012 project. So, Dehydrate was made 2012. I I talk about in the last video or in that commentary that I was really finally just like, "Alright, I'm ready to make photo projects." And, after tinkering with some ideas and whatnot, I got the ball rolling. And so this as well was created the same size as Dehydrated. I have a copy of it right here, the original. Let's see, it's there we go. So this is one of the originals, staple bound. The paper is thinner than the previous one. And this one I had handwriting in each one, a little bit, just each copy was different. And this was the whole premise of the project is this zine contains photographs taken within 24 hours leading up to the ultrasound. So yeah, it was basically a project I just thought of and just went for it where, it's, my first and only kid was going to be born. So I was like, oh, that's kind of like, I knew, within 24 hours, I'm going to have a boy or girl. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. I think for anyone going through that, there's like a lot of like thought process, because one or the other, it's a different life in a way, So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna like, and I was, you know, single during this project process of finding out. So I think that was also a thing of like keeping me occupied and I even knew back then it'd be cool to see like just okay, what kind of photos can I make leading up, 24 hours to out of a project. So yeah, so this is the original copy here. This this text here, I was um so even since the beginning of me having a website, bsmitty.com was launched very beginning of 2006, and even like the process of editing, I've always been like a background noise for like movies or whatever kind of person when it comes to like while I'm editing. And this text, if you don't know the movie or seen it, this is from the cover of Drive. Uh, that stars Ryan Gosling. So heavy in watching that movie. I love the soundtrack, and that was kind of like my little like homage to the what I was also doing at that time. I was watching that movie, and it was just like a part of that whole 24-hour thing. Like a little bit of like this was what was going on at the time. So that was. It's also like a reminder to me of this time period. So um, yeah. So 11:11 is the time that I started 11 a.m. to 11 a.m. Of the 24 hours. So this is I also mentioned this in the last commentary there. I started numbering zines and I took that away as well. It was just like I was, you know, figuring out my way around making projects. So Let's see what notes I even have here. This was taken around 11 a.m. on April 18th, which sparked the idea of this zine. So that's one thing I don't really recall either, but now I remember, or don't remember now. It reminds me that, um, I shot the photo and I was like, hey, let's just keep shooting for 24 hours. Um, so, of course, I wanted to get a newspaper. Um, it's so funny. I'm curious how many of these are even around anymore. Like just your newspaper box. Get my breakfast. Always had printer problems at this time because my printer was not good. So I like my little question marks of like, what's that line? The world traveling Kyle, always putting smiles on people's faces, which is true. He's definitely traveled the world. I drove to California with him in the early days. I was still shooting film at the time. I wish I wasn't, so I could have shot more photos. Um, but that was my skate days for sure. I actually just graduated high school when we drove out to California. And I was still going out skating, but I definitely had pretty much proclaimed that I stopped shooting skate photos, even though I still shoot some and was shooting with a SweetTech for like the magazines and stuff. But I was like pretty much done with the whole idea of like I'm just gonna go shoot skate photos. Um, but Kyle's a I skated a ton with him. Great great times with Kyle for sure. And he was always down to kind of like with my creative process. I was like, hey, we basically met up and I was like, hey, I'm doing this thing. That's one thing I do remember. Is like, hey, I'm doing this thing. You want to go shoot some photos before I head out um, to figure out, I'm having a boy or a girl. And we're back. My other camera just disconnected. This above camera. So uh, this tree is in front of my bank. Nice. I don't know what bank I had at that time, but very nice. Gas was 3.79. Six scooter. It definitely looked a lot different. It's weird that I was even rocking out kind of like this like weird goatee situation. It was weird times for me. That's for sure. Classic, business card put in the back. Skipped a page by accident, and that's obviously going on here. Having some issues with so this above cam's kind of I'm using that continuity iPhone thing, and so far, I mean it's cool. The quality is awesome, but it, it's disconnecting, which is if you ever what's it matter if the quality is good if it keeps on disconnecting? So I'll look into that. But again, I found out obviously had a son. His name is Ryder, and he's already almost 13 years old. So crazy how time goes by fast. And it was I guess this is copy four. I don't know how many I made. So yeah, this is a physical copy of 1111. And let's head over to the actual website now. Again, you can see every project I've made at peacemedia.com, especially compared to these older zines. The quality is it's better to look at technically on the website. Even though nothing beats a physical copy, even though it has some printing lines and whatnot, holding a physical copy is really nice. And I'm always like inspired to try to like keep it going for sure. I also got a little bit smarter over the years, but there was like, maybe I don't like print like a ton of them. I know with like an upcoming project after this one, I did 50 copies. And that's work, let me tell you, for sure. Like doing like making sure all the pages are right and staple bound. It's a whole process, that's for sure. So yeah, so it was cool definitely to do something like this. And it's also like this type of project is a good reminder to not overthink something. Like, even just, like, that note in there that I totally forgot about with this photo, or so this is probably the first photo I shot of the day, and I knew I had an appointment the next day, an ultrasound appointment. So, I was like, "Hey, I should just keep on shooting photos for a day," and that's my project. So you can kind of do that with a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on in people's lives where you can be like, "You know what? Maybe I do a 24-hour project dedicated around this thing that's happening." Or it could be a week project. There's a lot you can do with just like a spark of an idea, a spark of a moment that you know is gonna happen and work around that. And, definitely, um, even this got me thinking. Yeah, I mean? Like, there's things I could be doing, especially now. Yeah, I mean? There's a lot you can do with social media. I mean, again, this is 2012. Instagram started in 2012. So this is, like, so much has changed. Even if it's like a little like, "Hey, I'm gonna do a little Instagram project," whatever kinda gets you going to make something and get it out there. Um, I've always I'm like the champion of, like, websites. I feel like if you're a photographer or an artist of any sorts, be like writing, whatever it is, don't limit yourself just to posting to Instagram or something like that. Get yourself a website. It costs money, I get it, but it's worth every cent because it's your thing, it's your work, and when someone goes to it, they're not bombarded with, like, weird ads and algorithms, and it's your place and your vibe, and again, like, you can do, like, these types of projects and have them, or get an old school blog going. I've talked about that where it's like, I still beat myself up every day, like, "Man, I should have a blog going," because it would be cool, or at least I mean, that's the funny thing, is like, it's so easy to think about, like, oh, a bunch of like, people don't check out blogs, but, like, sure, like, blogs were, like, super cool back in the day as, like, people were out, like, looking into them, but I think people like following and supporting what they like to follow and support. So if you like doing a blog and people like checking out your stuff, then they're gonna like your blog, and cool. I mean? As long as you like doing it and getting out there, I mean, that's really all that matters. So again, this is Project 1111. I think I was, you can definitely tell, as I mentioned in the last one, like I was kind of getting in there. Obviously, this is a 24-hour project, so you can get what you can get within that 24 hours. Um, and yeah, it's cool to see photos, like, even just like a photo like this. I think I was shooting with, I might have been shooting with a Leica. I had a Deluxe 4, I think. I can't remember which one it was. I mentioned the documentary that was filmed in Mia that's on Vimeo. I was using it in that project, and I think this whole thing might have been shot with that. I'm not entirely sure. But this is definitely would have been like the shape of it, because it was small, and yeah, that's what's kinda cool about this photo. You can, with the shadow and look here, let me see something real quick, 'cause I totally forget. Yeah, that's what I thought. This person was, like, running by, and I just, like, snapped over. It's the same exact spot as this. Like, I'm just, like, further back where I was gonna shoot the skate photo, and, yeah, just a little flick of the wrist and ended up in the project. So, anyways, thank you for, hanging out with this commentary on Project 1111. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.